How's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on Avatar. Not The Last Airbender, that's something that I got confused with a lot when I was younger because, they came out on the same time. But this is the movie, the 2009 movie, excuse me, of similar name, about the blue people in space. And I didn't, I didn't watch anything on this movie at all whatsoever when it came out. I didn't know what it was. I knew that it was really popular, but I never met anybody who really watched it. But then it turns out I asked Uber about it if you watched it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I watched it. It's great." And now I know. I watched it. I'm talking about it now, and phew, let me give you guys the rating right now. It's a 9. This movie is so fire. This movie is fire. It's amazing. Beyond what I expected it to be. I'm not gonna go into story spoilers, but I will say this. The visuals for it being like over 12 years old, this movie is one of the best looking movies I have ever seen. Like rivaling some Marvel movies, if not being better than most Marvel movies and other CGI spectacles. Because, oh my goodness, the only movie that I've seen that wowed me this much with the CGI is The Last Jedi, and that's because of that one scene in space with the hyperdrive. This movie though, 2009, I wasn't even 10 years old at the time, I think, and I missed out. I missed out so badly, and I don't watch movies that much. I'm just now getting into like the renaissance of movies, right? And this movie, the fact that it came out during my time and I missed out on it, it's like, dang, yo, that sucks. But I'm glad I got to watch it now because, oh my goodness, Jesus, bro, this movie is fire. Like, if you go to watch it, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it too because the movie's coming out the 16th of December this year, and I really want to watch it now in theaters. I can't imagine just being in the movie theater and then seeing all those crazy speakers and the seats and then just watching a 3 hour epic, bro. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait, and hopefully I'm able to. If not, then I'll find my ways, but I can't wait. Oh my goodness. This movie was so beautiful to look at. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to talk. So this movie basically starts on Earth, way far in the future, like cyberpunk type era. Into it's a bunch of technology. It's advanced. Everything's different. You have you have Jake Sully, who he looks like that one ad that the army runs on YouTube, where it's like this one guy in a dystopian future, and he's walking around with this hoodie up, and he just looks so beat up and angry, and then he looks at like a holographic image, and he punches it, and then he falls, and then he turns into a marine. It like Jake Sully looks like that. He's a man who lost his legs in war in the Marines. I think he did a tour in Venezuela or something like that. But he lost his legs now. He's a crippled, a paraplegic, I think is the word. And he's just living his life on Earth with no purpose, right? Don't worry about this, by the way. Don't worry about that. But he's living his life on Earth with no real purpose, and he's just here trying to get by, right? He's going to bars, he's picking fights with people because at the end of the day, there's people who are defenseless and can't do anything about it, um, or having to deal with other people who can do something. So he's just there, he's kind of like a vigilante in some sense. But he gets a message from two people, and it turns out it was people who worked with his brother, Tommy Sully. But Tommy died. He died on a planet called Pandora. And now they came over to Jake because he's his identical twin brother, and they're asking him to come with them to join the program. And he did, and now he's on Pandora. Right now, we're on this planet. The Earth is dying because of all the technology. They bled the planet dry, and all that's going on. So now this project is basically like, oh, let's inhabit another planet type thing, right? And Jake gets there. He gets introduced to all the characters like Grace, Norm, Trudy, all these people. And he goes, learns, meets all these people, military guys, all that stuff. He gets put into an avatar. And avatars aren't like the name of the movie is there actually is a reason. They're called avatars because the blue people that the people have in the military are homegrown, while the inhabitants of this planet are natural, right? And they made their own versions of them in the laboratory. And since they're people, and the blue people, the Navi, are accustomed to this planet, different biological and physiological, you know, gaps between them. And the Navi are taller, stronger, faster, bluer. they they have their own things to them. So people A can't even go out of the base to breathe because oxygen levels are different. But B, if they fought one on one, they would lose. Like legit lose. Even taller than Shaq levels up tall. It's crazy. They go in there and the avatars are basically used as a way to sync up and link their consciousness to those bodies so they can match the Navi. And the Navi and the avatars are the same thing. It's just they once you wake up from the avatar, you're back in your normal body. So Navi and avatars basically same thing except Navi are the actual people, while avatars are just humans linking with Navi bodies. That's how basically it goes. That's why Mr. Jake Sully is able to link in with this one. Well, not why, but his brother used to use that avatar, and the reason they got him in is because again they're genetic twins, so they're able to link together since they have the same DNA and all that, or not DNA, genetic code. There you go. So they link him up, and you got to remember that he doesn't have function in his legs anymore. So when he gets put back into that body, it's one of the first signs of life that he's had in a long time. Like this is one of the best things that's ever happened to him. And all that's going on, he goes out with the crew that he had in the military base, and they're exploring. There's scientists, and then there's the Marines. And Jake is a part of the scientist group because they also are interlinking. They go out, they explore some things, and they get attacked. Jake gets separated from his crew, and he gets found by Natiri, I think that's her name. And this is basically girl, woman. You'll see that she'll soon become the love interest of the show or movie, excuse me. She shows up, she helps him out, and we learn soon enough how different the Navi actually are, where they have their own customs, their own religion, all that stuff. And it reminds me a little bit of like African and Native American religions, like mixed together in a way. It's cool. It's generally cool. She shows him to her village, and she introduces him to her father, her mother, her brother. Turns out that she was royalty. Shows up, tries to induct him into the village and all that, and her mother's like, "All right, you're gonna teach him." And so, for a good half of the movie, maybe like 40 minutes, it's just Jake learning the customs, the religion, and just the ways of the Navi people. And it's fire. It's genuinely fire. Just seeing him go through living this awesome life as the Avatar, as Jake Sully. He he's just getting accustomed to it and loving it. He's loving every single second of it. And Grace, who is the scientist lady who's helping him, is also going there. She's loving it as well. You have Norm, who's jealous, but he gets accustomed to it overall. And they're just going. The main four human people are Trudy, Grace, Norm, and Jake. Jake is the main character. Trudy is the fighter pilot. Grace is the scientist, and Norm is the second scientist. Norm actually did help Tommy with all that stuff, so he knows them. But it's cool. Things move on. Jake, while he's getting accustomed to his new life, he's loving it. You have him going back into his real human body. And it comes with the duality of I'm loving this new body, but at the same time I'm losing my human body. So it's hard to differentiate which one's like the dream and which one isn't. So he's losing himself sort of, but it's not leading to like any psychosis or anything like that, not yet. But it leads to conflict because now he's basically tied between humans and Navi. Now that that's going on, Jake basically has to choose between the humans and the Navi. As one of the Marines, one of the main guys, I forgot his name, Quaritch or something like that. He's seeing all this, and he was the one that helped or helped commission Jake to this somewhat. He's like, yo, you were in the military, I was in the military, we understand each other. At the end of the day, is our survival over theirs type thing. Let's get him out of here, right? But as Jake learns more about the Navi people and he gets a love interest with uh Neri, I think that's her name, I forgot. But and he learns about her brother, her father, her mother, all that stuff, and the tree. There's a tree that's really important in this, all that stuff. He gets attached to him, and then he starts realizing like, yo, I'm a part of this people now, so I'm gonna help him out. And the military sees this and they start pushing in. He had 3 months to basically get them out of the village. and integrate with them and just like get them out because at the end of the day that'll be a terrible PR stunt. And now that I think about it, with the way this movie ended, oh shoot, I wonder what's gonna happen in the second one. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be crazy. It's a terrible PR stunt, so they can't have him. They can't have him killed. Not yet, unless if a war is fabricated, and then they have a probable cause. But you have that going on. The military basically, after the 3 months are done, they start moving in. Jake just basically got married to Natiri. Grace is learning all about these people, learning and helping all the children, stuff like that, learning the language, and everybody's happy. Everybody's doing great. But then the military starts coming in and just starting to bulldoze the planet, basically industrializing it, and that causes problems with Jake because they don't know, the Navi don't know that he's human. Once they find out that he is, it's betrayal. It's basically betrayal. And as the military people, come in and they start blasting the tree, they have this crazy like 20-minute scene where they just start shooting down the tree that they live in. It's like the Great Deku tree, but even bigger. It's wild. They start shooting it and it comes down. It's like a natural disaster. Not a natural disaster, but like an attack, a terrorist attack type thing. With how like large and out of this world it really is. This tree killed so many people just falling. The tree probably killed more people than the people in the fighter jets did themselves. It's insane. It was a wild scene to look at too. Genuinely wild. But the tree fell. Now Jake and Grace are known as betrayers, and they have to find a way to help the Navi people because why would you want to help the humans in this situation? That scene alone, in the fighter pilots and all that, seeing all the chaos, all the fire, all the pain, suffering, death, just pure pandemonium going on. Even the people who were in the committee to bulldoze the planet were like, "Oh my goodness, this is this is horrifying." Like the main guy who's like, "Oh man, these are just savages. Well, what are they gonna do? All that stuff." Even he was horrified. The only person that wasn't was Quaritch, the marine guy, and it genuinely is horrifying because it kind of calls back to certain situations in our planet's history that have had this happen where native people get ousted from their own land because other people deem it their like land to be conquered by them. They deem themselves conquerors, and you can think of like Christopher Columbus and Native Americans or Native Americans now. You have Indians in in India and uh, Great Britain, all that stuff. You have Africa as well. It's just like, geez, bro. This is probably what happened, except obviously, in here it's over embellished because it's technology and all that. But it's the fact that there's similarities and that I can see this happening on 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 our planet. It's just like, wow, that's terrifying, generally terrifying. I think this movie is kind of like a wake up call to like, oh, we're hurting our planet, nature, and all that, but not like shilling it in, more like just showing what can happen. But it probably wasn't the intended purpose. It's just like a side effect of it. But with all that going on, Jake, Mr. John Sully, he goes around and he tries to become the Turok Matto or Matko, I think. And he basically does that by taming one of the dragon beasts that are here. And once he shows up to the village or the refugee camp of all the Navi, he's like, "Yo, I'm here. I'm here to help you guys." And Grace shows up with him. Let's fight against the human race and all that. So they basically all get prepared. They try to help Grace, but she got shot when they tried to escape because they actually did get captured. I didn't go over that, but she died in front of the tree in front of Iwe, and now she's gone. Now it's just Norm, Trudy, and Jake. They're gone, but at the end of the day, there's a war to be fought. So this is like the last hour of the movie where they're all getting ready to fight. The Navi people are calling all the tribes together, and the humans are getting all the artillery and combat, military prowess, all that. They're getting ready. And now it's for the final battle. This is like Battle of Geonosis levels of crazy. This is insane, bro. So now they start fighting, they start brawling, all that stuff is going on. And Jake leading the charge with his brother now, or Neri's brother, now they became brothers, all that stuff. They're leading the charge. A bunch of death happens, Trudy dies, Neri's brother dies, a bunch of people die, most of the tribes die, but Jake is still alive, Neri's still alive, and Norma's still alive. They're all going about it, they're doing it, they're living, bro. And the final battle is between Quaritch and Jake, and they fight, they battle, and then Neri helps out as well. And this final fight in the movie was fire. It was genuinely fire. I loved it so much. It was such a good way to end the movie, having one of the biggest supporters of conquering the planet fighting him. You know, it's symbolism. But it's just the way that they did it as well, where Jake helped her out a bunch during this movie, but it wouldn't have happened if Neri didn't help out Jake in the beginning of the movie. And it's the fact that Jake wouldn't have lived if Neri didn't help him out again. So it's like, yo, it all comes back full circle. Jake's actions led to this, even though a lot of tragedy happened. It all led back to him living because of his wife now. It's fire. It's genuinely fire. It's just crazy seeing the difference between a human and a Navi. Like when she's looking at what was his name, Jake's body, and just seeing the human version of it, it's like wow, yo, she is tall. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. But she saves his life because he what was it his name? Quaritch was near the facility where his human body was being hosted, the one that's controlling the avatar. And by the way, the human bodies are unconscious, so he can't do anything. And even if he could do anything, he has no legs, or he does, but they just don't work. So he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to, compared to a military trained guy who just exercises every day. This man is strong. Navi saves his life, and now they're fully married, basically. They take him back to the tree where they took Grace, where they tried to save her life, and now they transfer Jake's body, or soul, and like uh, consciousness into the Navi body that he has now. They transfer him, and I just recorded that without my voice in it. That's unfortunate. But basically, the end of the movie is that Jake is fully in his Navi body. And with that, let me go into the negatives. So the negatives, like, this movie came out in 2009, right? So it doesn't show its age. It definitely doesn't. I'll go into why later. But storytelling wise, it kind of does. Where the beginning is like, my name is John H. Turok the Soldier, and I'm here to just be a guy. I have no legs, so I have some struggle. But I have a heart of gold. I may seem like a meathead because I'm a Marine, but I'm not. I am a good guy. And they show up, his brother, all that. Like, I'm here to help humanity. And now he's on Pandora trying to help humanity. But then as he learns more about the Navi, he's like, I'm here to help the Navi. Because he a woman who helped him out, and now they're married. But where at first it's like, she doesn't like me. Now it's, oh, she's my wife. And then later on, you have him learning about the one of prophecy, the last shadow, because he tamed a dragon, and it's like, oh wow, that's a cool story. And then next thing you know, I am the one. I am the last shadow. I am the main guy. My name is Jake Sully, and now he's the one of prophecy. He became the leader. And what I'm trying to say with that is it's kind of predictable in some senses. Like you expect them to be the leader because oh wow, the main guy, the main character just so happens to become the leader of the group. It's like yeah, it can be kind of like pace by pace, one note, but at the same time it's still good. Like it's a serviceable story for what it actually. Me, the thing that carries it for me is the science fiction and just learning about this race of people, right? Because they're so different from ours, all their traditions, but at the same time, they're not. They're not that different from us. They just have physiological differences in biology, but at the same time, they still have like some similar traditions that they can do. Like some of these traditions remind me of like Native and African traditions in our world and Native and African religions. It's just like it's not that different, and I would think that their inspiration for Navi people would be like real life religions, unless if it's just made up and they thought of it on the spot. But I like learning about this world, learning about all of its secrets and information that they have to share because it's different. That's the fun about science fiction movies. It's that you don't know anything and you're learning about it. And if you don't, or if you do know something, it's because of other science fiction movies and properties and all that. Because, there's so many people that are born who think of similar ideas. It's just how they make them different. So of course they're gonna be similar in some ways. But this movie, it's great not because of its originality. Like it's kind of similar to other stuff, but it's not bad. It's wholeheartedly not bad. This is one of my favorite movies I've seen. This is great. This movie's so fire. Like while the story can't be great, it's serviceable, and at some points it's great, really great. Overall, it's just not the greatest from like what I've seen from science fiction. Like Dune, I think that story's great, or Star Wars, I think that story's great. But this one, it works. It just works. like something Howard, Todd Howard. But next, the characters. The characters are fire. I really like Jake. Jake's actor is hilarious. Jake's character is hilarious. He's just so like he's a good person, but sometimes he can really be like, come on, bro. For lack of better words, he could really be a prick. It's crazy. But Jake's cool character. Grace is cool. You have Norm. He's all right. You have Trudy, who's great. She's one of my favorites. She reminds me of like Rebecca. She has Rebecca type energy, except more toned down. You have Quaritch. You have the other guy, or the other guy isn't like the guy who's which Quaritch. All those people. You have Nateri. You have her family. The cool characters. They're cool characters. Some memorable, some not. I'll probably forget most of the characters. I'll remember Jake and Nateri and Grace, but that's mostly it. Then you have the music. The music is fire, no doubt about it. It's just good. I don't have anything else to say on it. It's fire. Then you have the visual effects, the graphics, I guess, well, the animation, CGI, whatever you want to call it. The CGI is amazing. One of the best like films with CGI ever I've ever seen. Like the fact that Spy Kids 3 and this movie came out at a similar time boggles my mind. Granted, it's not a fair comparison because Spy Kids 3 isn't, it isn't the fairest comparison. But wow, like the fact that they came out in the same time period. Like, let me use a better example. Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, I think is the name of the movie. That movie looked great. That movie looked amazing. But Star Wars to me has some bad CGI, and the prequel trilogy has a lot of CGI, and the first movie, I forgot the name, Phantom Menace. The first movie in that trilogy looks terrible. At some spots it looks terrible. But here, it came out in a similar time period. It came out 10 years later. This movie looks great. Genuinely great. I don't see any spots where it's like, yo, this movie looks cheeks, dog. What is going on? Nah, Avatar doesn't have that. I didn't see any blemishes like that. It's probably because I was enjoying it too, but I also enjoyed Phantom Menace. So it's just, I don't see any blemishes. And granted, it had a lot of money put into it. I mean, a lot of money put into this movie, like almost $300 million, I think. Yeah, $237 million were put into this movie, and 2 point something billion came out of it. Almost $3 billion, the highest grossing movie ever, like ever. And it's just funny because I never seen or any heard anything about this movie. I knew about the blue people, but I didn't know anything else. Just nothing at all. I didn't know why it was called Avatar, what was going on, stuff like that. But I do remember one thing. The movie was so popular that they made a McDonald's toy when like 2009 when I was a kid. I had one. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Jake or his brother. But it was so cool because it literally lit up and that's it. But it was a childhood toy that I remember fondly. Same way with like my Anakin statue that I had that I sold for some reason. I was dumb. I remember actually funny story. When I was like 11 or something, right? I had a choice between two toys. A Power Rangers Jungle Fury helmet and not a Power Rangers, a Super Saiyan 4 Goku statue. Legit a statue that I could have gotten. And I chose the Power Rangers helmet. It was one of my favorites, but it was nasty. It was generally nasty. But that statue, man, it haunts me till this day. I don't know where it is, what happened to it. It was cheap too, and I would have loved it. I would have loved it so much, but I didn't get it. Haunts me till this day. But yeah, so Avatar, it was popular, no doubt about it. Wholeheartedly popular, and I can see why. The CGI, if I was in 2009 me's body, I would have freaked out. I would have lost my mind if I saw this movie in theaters. I would have started crying. I would have started laughing. I would have started just seizing, bro. It was crazy. This movie, like just watching it on my phone is insane. I can't even imagine what it was like in 2009 watching it in theaters, you know. No reclining seats, just normal Pepsi and water, whatever you want, popcorn, all that stuff. Just like, wow, I can't imagine what it would have been like. But CGI aside, you know, besides that, the movie was good. Again, I'll give it a 9. It's a great movie. I wholeheartedly recommend it if you never watched it because its CGI is amazing. The story is serviceable. You have just overall, it's a long movie too, so it's an investment, but it's great. It's genuinely great. I love it because of the sci-fi. Oh man, sci-fi is so cool to me, bro. Like that's why Steins Gate, that's why Star Wars, you know, Dune, all that stuff appeals to me because of sci-fi. It's just so creative. It's awesome. But yeah, you know, it's gonna be it for me for now. I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know if you watched this movie before. And if you did, what'd you think of it? Or are you excited for the second one? Let me know. But hope you all have a good rest of your day. And I'll check you out in the next video. Peace.